For the first time since 1923, a Speaker of the House was not elected on the first ballot, but it went well beyond that. The far-right opposition to Kevin McCarthy was stronger than many predicted, and after 3 votes, the House remained locked in a stalemate today, with the proceedings set to resume at noon tomorrow. The voting began at noon. House Republicans held a last-ditch closed-door meeting to try and rally support behind McCarthy, but the opposition dug in its heels and made good on the pledge not to vote for him. Several candidates received votes on the first ballot before the opposition eventually coalesced around Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, who got 19 votes on the second ballot. On the third ballot, 20 Republicans voting for Jordan, even though Jordan himself is supporting McCarthy. The voting set to resume tomorrow. But now what? Those of us in what I call the marginalized moderate majority have been hoping that the moderate House Republicans will step up and take matters into their own hands rather than allowing extremists to dictate terms. Remember, moderate GOP Congressman Don Bacon of Nebraska wrote an op-ed for the Daily Caller yesterday where he said he'd be willing to go across party lines to find a consensus candidate. But some new reporting from CNN pokes a hole in that possibility. According to Jake Tapper, the Democrats have no interest in accepting the olive branch.
And I'm hearing Republicans, Lauren, talking about this wishful thinking about what House Democrats will do. Oh, maybe some of the Republican moderates can join with Democrats and elect some sort of reasonable Republican speaker. And I don't know one Democrat who's interested in that deal.
But if that's true, that's incredibly disheartening. The Republicans clearly in disarray right now. It's obvious. Would Democrats really reject the overtures of moderate Republicans, even if it meant getting a far more moderate speaker? Let's ask one of those moderate Republicans, Will Hurd, who served 3 terms as a member of Congress from Texas. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right. So most importantly, how can the moderates wield their power here, considering what's happening?
Look, at your opening, this notion that Democrats are interested in governing, they're going to be just as bad as some of these folks that are holding up Kevin McCarthy's bid for speakership. This problem is not a problem that just started. This is a problem that's been going on for years, where we've had too many of our leaders that sacrifice their principles to kowtow to kind of these extremist wings of the party. Republicans have been doing it, Democrats did it, and unfortunately, this is no longer about trying to have a leader that's going to solve problems and do what's best for the American people. It's about having a position to be vindictive. Now, what the moderates are going to have to do is band together to figure out, is there a compromise candidate? And the reality is these 19 or so folks that are opposing Kevin, they don't have a plan. They don't have, most of them are not people that are trying to pass legislation or do things for their district. They're bomb throwers, and bomb throwers only know how to throw bombs. And so for getting a scalp like Kevin may be enough. So is a Steve Scalise, is a Patrick McHenry. The moderates got to figure out, okay, Kevin's not going to be able to win. Who's next, and who should we want to be the leader of our conference? And I think that's how it's going to unfold. And whether that's tomorrow, the next day, or much longer, that's the question nobody really knows.
Well, let me ask you this though: if it is someone like Steve Scalise or even Jim Jordan, that would seem to indicate that the 19 extremists win, right? That they get another candidate who is further to the right than Kevin McCarthy is presumed to be. And that's a big victory for them. Are the moderates in the House, and I'm talking about the GOP moderates, willing to do that?
Well, look, if you were to take the vote records of Kevin McCarthy and Steve Scalise and compare them, I'm pretty sure they're almost identical, if not identical. And so the difference is that Steve is seen as being more conservative. He doesn't have the same kind of profile that Kevin McCarthy had, and so I think moderates would be supportive of a Steve Scalise, because Steve Scalise has been to all their districts, helped them pass legislation, making sure that they're getting things done for their district. So Steve has a very good relationship and a working relationship with all members of the caucus. So that's.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.